and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Crowner,
Here.
Lees,
Here.
Young,
Here.
Covert,
Here.
Johnson.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. We have our consent agenda, and I would entertain a motion to approve those 6 items.
Motion approved as presented. Support.
Motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. We'll go on to our council and staff reports.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to be real quick. Chad and I are on the radio tomorrow, 7:40 a.m., 20 minutes, I think it is. We're going to talk about cooperation. Several folks noticed we were on the cover of the League magazine, so they want to talk about what we've been doing. And then I've heard from Andy, if you would like to attend the chamber dinner on January 23rd, just give me if you could let me know, I'd appreciate it. I have a table of 8 reserved so far. Just need to know if I need more. So if you let me know when you have a chance to, I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to leave it at that for tonight. Thanks. Running around.
All right, Chase?
We just finished up our last hydrant this week that we're replacing. We have about a day and a half left of sewer jetting, and then we'll be done for the year. And then we're just starting to use our camera around town. So next week we'll start using it a lot more for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So
How's it gone so far using it, Chase?
really good. Still got it.
Are
Everyone to learn, but it went good the first time we used it, and we used it again last week. So.
you finding things like preventive measure things? Or?
Yep. The first couple times we're getting rid of tree roots that were backing up sewer. So, yep.
I watched your video and it was amazing.
Yep. It makes it a lot better. I mean, before you couldn't tell where you're at, so you're just kind of guessing. So now it makes it a lot more accurate. So.
Okay, Jesse?
Just a couple things here. Police department, we're fully staffed. It's going going well. And then on fire department, I'll be out at SCC tomorrow presenting to a bunch of high school kids about the EMT, side of the fire department. So.
Okay.
Hey, Jesse, since you're talking, any progress with working with the hospital on security or follow-up?
We've had 2 meetings with them. We're starting back up. Before COVID, we used to have a monthly, about once a quarter, security briefing where we just talk about a bunch of different things. That got reinstated, so we're starting discussion there. Just gave them my 2 cents worth, and they weren't aware of some of their issues, and just trying to work through some of those things. So both on police and fire side with some of the excessive amount of calls that we get out there. So it's going well. We'll see how it goes over the next couple months.
Same question with Walmart. I know we kind of tried to get them to look at security.
Nothing with Walmart.
They, manager, I was working on that one. I was working with the managers, but he hasn't heard anything on staffing. Separate, I guess, a side question. They would like to add that 4 stop sign back in. It's technically on their property, though, when you're coming in off Broadway. So they're looking at adding a 4th one in there to help with accidents and issues that they're seeing again at that intersection. There's plenty of stacking room there, so, but it's technically their road, so.
Okay, anything from finance?
Greg and I started meeting about budget, so it started. Next week will be the last week I'm in the office until after the till the 8th of December, but I'll be working remotely and have access to my phone and my email. If anybody needs anything.
Angie, on the insurance, last year we were sort of surprised at the last moment. How's
So
that?
I started, we met with Cody, what, 2 weeks ago, Greg? Cody?
Insurance?
Yeah.
Yes.
And-
No, at least 2 weeks ago,
And
more than that.
he had me do an application. We're gonna get a quote from Travelers again, the current one that we have, and then they opened a second tier, the way I understood it, and I did an application for that. So we've got 3 of them. I emailed Cody yesterday, but I haven't heard back from him, so the process has started.
Thank you.
Is there anything on the government shutdown that's affecting us straight off?
Not- no.
Actually, there is one thing. I mean, we haven't received our hazard mitigation funding yet. They did start distributing it to the smaller grants. Ours is over 100,000, so but we should be getting it, it sounds like. We just need to wait, and hopefully we'll be getting it soon. So.
Okay. Anything from housing or anything like that that we've...
It'll be in my update tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Council?
Just one thing, next week is Veterans Day. I know we have a lot of employees and some of our council members are veterans. I want to say thank you very much for their service and hope they have a good day that day.
Andy?
Just one thing, I have a note, 1st of November to check in and see if we want to do the business of the year again, since that'll start January 1. Is that something we want to go ahead and do next year?
Yeah.
Start planning, and Brad, I think we have a little work to do on the new website front of it, but,
Did we want to look at doing the legacy one this year?
I had Kelly pull up the businesses in West Burlington that have been in business for 25 years, but I didn't see the sheet come my way that we could, amongst those council people, that we could select someone out of that 25-year plus family business owned and work from there and get that done yet this year.
Okay. Sounds good. Trees?
Who's got to do it?
Well, Johnny volunteered.
Okay.
Trees volunteered, and
Okay.
I volunteered, so there's 3 of us at
Got it
least.
under control, got it.
We got it.
There's 3 of you, we need to advertise it.
What's that?
We need to advertise it. If you-
Okay.
Just let me know, or Kelly.
Trees, do you have anything?
Just other than, I was going to bring up the Legacy Award.
Okay.
I think it's something we should probably do for our businesses that have been here that many years and still hanging in there with us.
Melanie?
2 quick things. One, October 18th, they did the Walk to End Alzheimer in West Burlington, and really appreciate the support of our city staff and just the whole community. It was a real good walk, real good outcome, and plan to do it again next year. Probably be over at SCC though. So keep it in West Burlington, just moving locations a touch. So love to have you all sign up and help out again next year about that same weekend in October. The other thing, Teresa and I did a scheduled but informal tour of Alice Place. We got a great new facility, I think, in our community. Still some finishing touches that need to be done there that they're working on. But most encouraging, there were 2 residents who we informally solicited, and they were happy. So that went a long ways. And they're still trying to fill up. There's still plenty of vacant apartments.
2 bedrooms.
2-bedroom apartments, still plenty available, but the folks seem happy that there's some more work yet to be done. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We had an announcement about a grant that we received, $20,000, and we will put that to good use, I think, for housing. So.
Ron, I do have one other thing. I want to shout out to one of our responsible community members who's taken upon himself to take one of the feral cats in our community, trap it, get it spayed, and is rehoming the kittens. He also was able to capture, so he's kind of taken personal responsibility to do the right thing with taking care of our cat population. We refer to him as now the cat wrangler. His name's Steve Waples, he's our neighbor. So, Steve, thank you.
Yes, definitely.
What about 30 more?
Oh,
Send them my direction.
Let him get his process down, we may be able to bribe him.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone here to speak from the community? If not, I'll move on to reports. And I think presentation of the city's financial audit for 24-25. Let Greg start that.
We have Sarah contact with us. Audit again this year, which we appreciate. I'm just gonna. There we go. Hi, Sarah. Can you? Well, you can't see much, but can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool.
Do you have the presentation?
Yes, everybody has the presentation. Looks like this.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you for having me tonight. I'd like to start with the presentation. When we come out to do the audit this year, we did two different types of audits. One is an audit of the financial statements. We did issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. I will call to the fact that you're on the cash basis, so we do an emphasis of a matter paragraph within there. But we believe that the financial statements are presented fairly. The second type of audit that we do is the government auditing standards audit, and the purpose of that's twofold. One is to look at your internal control system and to test it to make sure it's functioning as it was designed. And the other part of that is to look at compliance with your laws, regulations, contracts, grant agreements. Within the internal controls, there's really 3 levels of control deficiencies. The very highest and most urgent of that would be a material weakness. The city did not have any material weaknesses. Kind of the mid-level is significant deficiencies. This year we repeated the deficiencies on payroll and cash disbursements. But we continue to work with your team to look for ways and to recommend ways that you can alleviate some of those conditions. And the very lowest are referred to as control deficiencies, or they used to be referred to as management advice suggestions, and we issue a separate letter for those with any comments that we may have found or best practices throughout the audit. The last type of audit, the federal single audit, you have to expend more than $750,000 of federal awards in order to require that audit. So this year, the city did not require a single audit to be completed. The next page of the graph, I'm looking at governmental funds receipts. In 2025, the city had $5,688,000 of governmental receipts compared to in 2024 where you had $4,837,000. That's about an $850,000 difference. As you look across the bars, you can see that the 2 primary ones are property taxes. You had an increase in your assessed value and a very slight increase in the actual rate. And your TIF increased due to the increase in the assessed value of your TIF district. The next page looks at the disbursements of the city for your governmental funds. Your total disbursements in 2025 were $5,557,000. Compared to 2024 where you had $6,162,000. That's about a $604,000 decrease. And again, as you look across the bars, you can pretty easily see that most of that's in capital outlay. Last year you had planned spending of capital outlay of about $1.7 million, and that was for your Gear Avenue Trail and your Mount Pleasant Phase 2. And this year you did not have a significant projects. And then the last page looks at your enterprise funds or your water fund and your sewer fund. The business type activities of the city receipts in the fiscal year were about 3.3 million, which was compared to about 3.6 million in the prior year. But in the prior year, you had about 331,000 proceeds from bonds that you did not have this year. Your total outstanding bonds for your enterprise activities were about 12.3 million as of 6/30/2025. The city paid 831,000 in principal on those bonds this year. And the ending cash balance of your enterprise funds increased about 182,000. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Page 52 of the audit itself, if you have any questions on those two items that are repeats, there's actually less than prior years, but I'm not sure there's much more from an internal control perspective that we'll be able to do, but we will continue to look at it.
My only question is on the sewer funds. Do we feel we've changed rates enough to hit the 110% that's required? No?
No, I don't, no. It's a continuing challenge, but,
You were much closer this year.
yes, yes.
This is my 10th audit in a row between city and school that they've said we don't have enough hands to manage the money the way it technically should be handled. Do you see that as typical for a city our size?
It is fairly typical. We do continue to try and make suggestions or recommendations of I guess, utilizing people creatively so that we can continue to try and protect everybody with their internal controls. But it is fairly common.
There are fewer than, if you go back and look at the past few years, there are fewer. And that's one thing we appreciate about Sarah and her firm, is that they work with us throughout the year. When Angie has questions or whatever it might be, they are always willing to answer questions and provide advice, so we appreciate that.
Thank you. Happy to help.
Okay. Seeing no other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and enjoy having you as
Thank you.
a partner.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a presentation of an annual financial update for fiscal year 2025-26 by Spear Financial.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Maggie Berger with Spear. Thank you for letting me dial into your meeting this evening. Just going through our annual TIF and debt report. These are your colorful pages. The reason that we do it at this time of the year, we have all your new valuations, and you have to certify your TIF askings or what you want from TIF dollars by December 1st of 2025 for fiscal year 27. I remind everybody that before your budget valuation can be set come January 1st for you to work on, the TIF has to be deducted off of those numbers. And so that's why it's due to the county by December 1. In our first page, which is kind of our red colored or pink colored page, we talk about the general obligation debts that the city has outstanding. Right now, the city just has 3 debts outstanding that are GO related, which means they could be paid with any sources of revenue that are available or were maybe part of the project. The very last way is to use some debt service levy, and you are using a very small amount of debt service levy for that 2022 bond, That was something that was planned. It was a sort of a, we'll say, a debt service levy that was implemented at that time for that specific project. On that page, we tell you when that those issuances were done. We talk about the amount that was issued, and then we talk about the TIC, or the true interest cost of those bonds. All of those bonds have call dates. Both the 2008 and the 2017 are callable, but those are 2 and 2.3% interest rates. So you're probably making more money on your investment of your cash right now. So we would, we would at this point in time just recommend that you would go ahead and keep that cash and just keep paying on that debt because of those low interest rates. The 2022 bonds, it's a couple, 3 more years before they are callable. You do use a little TIF revenue for some of the debt payments, which is in the yellow pages we'll get to. You also use some local option sales tax revenue to pay down some of that debt, just so that you're not debt service levying all of it. We go on in our orange section of the report. This outlines any revenue debt that the city has outstanding. This difference here is the far right column, indicating that you cannot debt service levy any property taxes to pay this revenue debt. It was entered into with bond resolutions in a way that you would make the debt payments from the actual source of revenue, meaning water or sewer. There is one water note from 2008. There's also one from 2021, and then the 2017 and the 2020 are sewer. They are all done with the state revolving fund, or what we commonly call the SRF program. They are at a 2% or less for an interest rate. So again, a very low interest rate, and they're paid with the water and the sewer revenues. It also states in that bond resolution that if your water and sewer revenues are not high enough to be able to make the outstanding obligation of paying the debt as well as your operational costs, that you would go ahead and raise the rates to get you to that point. So just something to think about. The purple pages are next, and this is where we talk about rebate obligations. So these are where you, the city, has entered into a development agreement with a developer that says the developer will build something, and as that new growth and valuation happens and they start to pay new taxes on those that growth and valuation, you will rebate back a portion of those taxes for a set number of years and up to a certain dollar amount. You have won the campus community developers, which was the Blackhawk Urban Renewal Area, Blackhawk Tower in particular. That one just has a couple more years on it, 27 and 28. And then you have a new one that will not start likely until fiscal year 28. Could be beyond that if they're slow on their growth. But that one is an LMI project, meaning you're going to use some LMI dollars to help offset that project. That is J&B West Burlington LP. And again, that one doesn't start for a little bit, but that has an 80% rebate on it. Both of those rebates are annually appropriated, which really just means we don't have to count the aggregate amount of the rebate against your debt capacity. We only have to count each and every annual year of the amount of the rebate, which is very important when we're talking about debt capacity. We go on to your yellow pages, and this outlines what portion of any debt or rebates or interfund loans or internal advances is being paid with TIF revenues. The 2017 bonds, you will ask for in 2017 or for 2027, you will ask for the final maturity portion of the debt that's being paid with TIF from those 2017 bonds. So to the tune of about $592,750. So that will go away next year. You also do not right now have any internal loans that are being paid with TIF. That I know as the city grows is something that very well could come up in the future and has happened in the past. We also have those rebate agreements that we bring in. And then the very far column on the second yellow page just indicates that you will be asking for somewhere around $659,000 in TIF receipts. I say that's a somewhere number because, again, there could be some things that get finalized before the end of this month. There also could be, again, some internal loans that appear there. And we always recommend that you would ask for a little bit more in TIF receipts than what your obligations are, just in case someone who sits in a TIF district would not pay their taxes, then you would not be shorted that money if you're getting a little bit more than what you asked for. So we go on to our green and then our blue pages. These are the last two sections. On the green, we're talking about debt capacity, and we're looking at column number 2, and we're reading straight down that column. The city's actual valuation is $359,089,600. This is a decrease in valuation. This was an expected decrease in valuation due to one of your commercial properties going into a tax exempt status. So there's a lowering of valuation there. That still gives you statutory debt limit, reading straight down, of $17,954,000, which is a great number. The city only has GO bonds outstanding of about $1,586,000, so not much GO debt out there right now. You're going to pay rebates back of about $66,000 this year. You're going to make a debt payment this year of $630,000 of principal. And so the remaining debt capacity and not obligated is about $16.9 million. So really you really at the end of the fiscal year only have used about $1 million of your debt capacity, which is a pretty strong number. We tell most of our cities they don't want to issue more than 80% of their total debt capacity. That really just means that if we took $3.5 million off that original number, you would still have about $13.3 million of capacity, right? I'm not telling you to run out and issue debt because ultimately, you can issue debt up to that 13, or even that $16 million number, but it's really the fact of how are you going to pay that debt? What's the thought process behind that? Are there sources of revenue? Will that be a debt service levy? What are those projects, that you're going to do? So again, it's good to know that you have a plenty of debt capacity if there is a project that comes up and the city wants to see that. We have a 0% growth rate because we have seen flat growth in most of our cities over the last year since the revaluation of property. So we put a 0 in there, but we know that the city in the past has grown usually between 1 and 2% in 100% valuation, in the past. So we expect that valuation could grow a little bit in the future. And then our last part of the report talks about the TIF district itself and what has grown in valuation again since the inception. That commercial property also has dropped out of the TIF area, meaning that it really hasn't dropped out, but there's no valuation associated with it. So again, we're showing a decrease in your valuation for the TIF, but I want to point out that amongst all of the increment that's available in your TIF district, the city definitely has enough TIF monies coming into them on an annual basis to service the debt that they have outstanding. And again, that would be that GO debt and the rebate agreements that are outstanding for that Black Hawk Tower rebate. You have some unclaimed TIF. Now, those unclaimed TIF dollars on our report aren't dollars that I'm telling you to go and claim, because those are dollars that make up the valuation that rolls back into the city, the county, and the school district's budgets. So again, given the fact that you've lost some valuation, we definitely want to try to keep our askings as level as possible this year. And then again, kind of readjust or look at that next year as you're going into fiscal year 28. Whether there's any new debt or any new rebate obligations that you might be asking for at that time. So that's a whole lot of information in a short amount of time, but I would be happy to answer any questions about this or anything else kind of related to the municipal debt and markets if you have any questions.
Quick question, Maggie. We've discussed about reissuing the GO TIF debt. You had done an estimate for me about 4.3 million would be generated for that for projects.
Correct.
That expires in 2017. We could start it in 2016 and pay the interest out of a different account. When would you need to start that process?
Correct. So we'd have to have that issuance of debt in place by this time next year, right? So from the, let's say, the latest standpoint, we'd really want to start that at no later date than about the end of August, because there is 60 to 75 days from the time that you kind of start a bond issue till the end of that bond issue. So we would want to definitely start that, probably at the latest in August. If you were thinking about doing it for projects that could be bid let and done next summer, I would say probably your ideal time would be to issue that debt maybe in the months of March, April, May. So those dollars are into your account by the time the July 1st date rolls around, or even as you get started in that. And again, what Greg and I talked about was that you've got this debt that's being paid with TIF right now. That debt is going to go away. That debt is going to mature and fall off, and there's nothing really that you are going to be utilizing those TIF dollars for that you've been utilizing these last about 10 years. So what we were talking about now would be the time to do some projects that are TIF related or could be deemed TIF related for economic purposes, maybe some infrastructure, things like that. At that point in time, we definitely then could issue that debt, and you could go and get, ask for those dollars next year to just keep that pace going. So the amount that Greg mentions is exactly, the amount that we talked about that you really could generate without asking for more TIF dollars than you're already asking for, sort of folding that new debt around that existing debt that is dropping off. That is the bonding portion. We would need about 60 days to complete urban renewal work, and that actually could be done at any time. I mean, that could be done in January and February, as long as the council is willing to put what we call not to exceed numbers in that urban renewal plan. We could say, well, we're going to do this road infrastructure project, and that not to exceed maybe $3 million, even though we think it'll only come in at $2 million, right? You want to do that urban renewal work a little sooner rather than later, but you also want to have some pretty decent ideas of what those numbers could be from maybe your engineers or your different departments on that. So I would say, urban renewal work at the very, earliest could start sometime in January, February, but again, it just has to be done before the bond issue. So if we tacked urban renewal work on at the last minute before a bond issue, we're probably talking about doing urban renewal work in July and August and selling bonds probably in early September or mid-September at the very latest.
We actually started today.
Perfect.
Updating the urban renewal plan, or at least having the discussions with more information to come.
Perfect.
And then
Yeah.
you noted in your presentation, so tonight we are recommending to collect the entire $1 million in 1 year, not over 2, 3, or 4 years, based on our discussions, and then being able to create an internal loan or use another tool to backfill the general fund loss. And that's going to be our recommendation. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But if council had any questions of you, I thought now would be a good time to ask any questions of you, understanding that that's about a $300,000 hit to our general fund, but we would backfill that so that there would not be any impacts during the budget process.
Sounds good.
No? Andy?
I'm good.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Trees? Okay. Well, I appreciate all your time here. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sure that we'll be talking and seeing you guys in the future. If you're going to start to proceed forward with some projects, we'll be attending some additional meetings coming up. So thanks so much.
Appreciate it, Maggie.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Item number 3, discuss and consider Des Moines County TIF debt certification report for fiscal year 26-27.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion?
In follow-up to our last meeting, I've met with the superintendent and the board president, and they both concurred that it would be a good idea to collect it in 1 year, given unknown legislative conditions, et cetera. So that is our recommendation tonight, that we collect it in 1 year, and submit it that way to the county, our request to the county. So happy to answer any questions.
Thanks for checking in with the school. Appreciate that.
All right, well then, do I need a voice vote or a roll call on this?
Action voice.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No, seeing none. Motion carries.
Who
Go to-
made the motion?
3, so then I second it.
Perfect, thank you.
Why, of course we are. Thank you for noticing.
Item number 4, consider options from Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission for housing programs, and we'll invite Mike Norris to come up.
Thanks, Mike. Just as a reminder, we had, this started with the property on Mount Pleasant Street, as well as discussions regarding 657A and Homes for Iowa. And Mike's very familiar with the Homes for Iowa program, current president of the Homes for Iowa program as well. And they won an award at the housing conference this year. Congratulations. But Mike's put together some information that on the program and related items as well, just kind of one for educational purposes, and now with the grant that we've received, some of those programs, some additional programs will come out of that process as well. So
Great. Well, thanks, Greg. Are we able to put the presentation up?
I didn't put it up there, but they do have it in front of them.
Oh, great.
Do you have it?
I have it too.
Okay.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you and to be here. Greg gave a great intro, and really just here to share some ideas and to stimulate some thinking about housing in anticipation of the housing readiness assessment that Iowa State's going to take you through here in a couple months probably. So 3 main issues to discuss. First is new construction options on vacant lots, rehabilitation options, and then down payment assistance options. So why would we discuss these? Well, the vacant lots really, we want to maximize available land for residential development within the city limits. You're just talking about TIF, levies. It's a constant value issue, and so trying to maximize what you have is a good thing to think about.
Hey, Mike or Greg, within the city limits of West Burlington, how many lots does the city own today that a house could go on? The one I'm familiar with is the one on Mount Pleasant that we've tried to sell. Is there others? And if so, how many?
We've got we asked the county to run a GIS map about vacant land, but that's not necessarily
vacant parcels, but not necessarily buildable lots.
Right, right.
It's a GIS layer that we have, but not necessarily buildable lots.
So right now, it's really just that one Mount Pleasant lot that we own today.
But we do, so Mark's mentioned before, that he's been collecting information on, 11, 12, 13 homes that could be potential 657A acquisitions that we could acquire. Burlington's been pretty active in that process as well. You could tear down the property, you could start from scratch, you could do a remodel. But there's certain requirements under state code in order for us to utilize 657A process and get clean title to it. So there are a number of potential properties that we could certainly consider going forward. Did you have one in mind?
That we own, it's probably 3.
That the city owns?
Mall. One
yeah.
we wouldn't want to, next to the fire station, and then the one on Mount Pleasant. That's all I can think of.
Right here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We have
It's
the
4.
water plant property.
But 4 of them that have sewer to them, streets to them, that a house could go on today.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
The property behind the mall does not have
okay,
water
so
and
3
sewer.
then.
That would have to be, come from one direction or the other.
Okay.
The only one that has water and sewer too would be the one on Mount Pleasant and,
That one that had a house on it, right?
was that?
The one on Swan that had a house on it, right, that we bought? That's a grass lot right now.
Yeah,
One behind City Hall.
right there.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, right there.
East of
Yes.
City Hall by about,
Oh, yes, but
50
you gotta go
feet.
back to your Iowa State plans. We got wonderful
we have
designs,
plans for that,
downtown
that's
designs,
right.
downtown
I'm just, yeah,
design.
so in my head, we got 3 lots that we could say would be an empty lot and infrastructure's there, so thank you, that's why I
We do
just,
have a large parcel there behind the mall that could
yeah, it needs
put
plumbing or
in,
needs sewer.
I don't know, eight, at least probably 8, and, or not,
that.
8 or 9, maybe a couple more. It's larger than the other larger side, so you could probably fit,
10 to 14, probably.
depends on your size and how close they are, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we would want to talk about rehabilitation options to keep housing stock in good condition. It's not only about the person that's living there now or the family, but it's also about the people that would live there afterwards and about the surrounding properties as well. And then down payment assistance options to assist residents become home owners. You know, to Melanie's question, the map on the next slide is just not necessarily city-owned, but vacant parcels. So just going to run through a few things on thoughts on how to maximize unbuilt parcels for additional housing. And just came up with some basic themes that we see in developments while working with developers and attracting them. Relationships, regulation, incentives, consistency, and customer service. So on the next slide, talking about relationships, you know, a question to ask is, what do developers know about West Burlington and the potential for new housing here? Another question is there encouragement to develop new residential units through relationships? And a lot of this really kind of goes back to reducing risk and increasing confidence in these different ways. So on the next slide, looking at regulation, we may want to ask, are the correct regulations in place to accommodate new housing on vacant parcels? Again, going back to the discussion here previously, it's pretty amazing how quickly you can think through these things about infrastructure in the surrounding areas. So I'm pretty confident you'll have some great discussions with Iowa State through the housing readiness process. And then secondly, on regulation, zoning, subdivision, building codes are all those, I guess, development ready, so to say. On the next slide, looking at incentives, asking the questions of are available incentives enough to encourage housing? That would be kind of a market feedback issue. What happens a lot of times is the first thing people would do is go back to their spreadsheet and input the costs they know about, the values that they're either guessing or have observed, and then you know what else they would need to make that happen. So so the concept of kind of being a spreadsheet ready community comes to mind, where people can understand pretty quickly and then analyze what some different options are, and then how to get to a development process. And then the second question would be, is the city ready to deploy incentives, TIF abatement, infrastructure, soft costs? You're all familiar with this. I know Greg's probably talked about it quite a bit. And it's really difficult to just have a one-size-fits-all. Abatement kind of works that way, but TIF is a little bit different because there's a lot more questions to consider. Next slide, looking at consistency. Does the city have a consistent approach to attract development, or does it kind of change from year to year, or business cycle to business cycle? And then, a natural question, and I don't know the answer to this, how consistent do you need to be? Is it 100% consistency over 10 years? Is it less, more? But I think it's a question worth considering. And then going back to the spreadsheet question and the consistency, people are looking around all the time, probably looking and researching more than we know with everything available on the internet. So going back to the consistency, is the city consistent enough, and really not just this city tonight, but in any city? Is there consistency over time that they can be confident that they will also get that same approach? So on the next slide, looking at customer service, think about win-win approaches. It's an additive situation. The city gets things and the developer gets things through a development. And then does a partnership approach take place? Is there really a partnership? And I think that really counts when there's a problem to solve. Is a relationship there? Is a partnership there to solve the problems that may come up? All right, so those are just some thoughts about the different approaches. And then this lot came up here about 5 minutes ago. So Greg asked me just to kind of do a thought experiment. And so, here it is. I won't say it's amazing, but this is what we came up with to stimulate some discussion. So, so how to build on this parcel? First, it's an interesting shape in an interesting location, and maybe not all of it is going to be developable. So we're going to kind of focus on the part closer to Mount Pleasant Street. First, the cons. The location's a little bit challenging. It's a fairly busy intersection. It's well lit. It may not be the first place someone says, hey, I want to build a house there. The area values may be a little hard to support new construction. And then, going back to the busy street stoplight, kind of the activity. But then you look at things a little bit deeper, and, there is a lot of room on the lot. It could be a generous backyard, could be fenced in. You can kind of let your imagination go on that. It's a central location. From that location, you could access your services, shopping, commuting. Transportation-wise, it's not too bad. And there's an opportunity for value there for the right situation and the right buyer. So looking at how to build on it, it's pretty clear it would require subsidy. It's not what I would call a market-ready lot. So then you need a friendly developer, and then and you don't want to build really a cheap house there. I think anything the city would want to do and subsidize, you'd want to try to focus on appreciating value. Partly, for your own reputation as a city, but then also it's an additive for the community to have something that's quality that will increase in value over time, which is good for the homeowner as well. So the different types of subsidies you could consider, LMI TIF funds, the Great River Housing Trust Fund could also be a potential partner with its funds that it gets through the State Housing Trust Fund. You may want to think about a friendly developer, one that is not just motivated by profit, but one maybe that's more mission-based, that would want to do things like infill development and maybe do things that are a bit out of the ordinary. And then finally, a house that exhibits value and quality. There's so many different options to build. Greg brought up Homester, Iowa, and I am the president of that organization. I helped found it, and we're in how many counties? 53 counties now. I think over 60 cities, and we're going to deliver our 150th house this year. So it's not a fancy house. It's a nice house. It's a ranch-style product. And moving on to the next slide. Apologize for the crude graphics there, but I think we get the idea. So the Homes for Iowa house is modular construction. We're a registered modular builder in Iowa. So they're built in one piece outside of the Newton Correctional Facility, and they're brought to the site as a completed house, with the exception of the finished floor and the appliances. So when you walk inside, the sheetrock is finished, it's painted, wired, plumbed. Really, it's ready to be hooked up. Ready to be hooked up. And we build to the state of Iowa building code. We've got 2x6 stud walls, clear span roof and floor trusses, Pella windows, and what I would call medium grade finishes. We're not going high end, but certainly not low end either. And it's all things that we would all recognize. And it's insulated enough that we put a heat recovery ventilation system in there to bring fresh air into the house. Next slide, you can see the different places where.
Hey, does that come with the garage attached? I see the picture has it.
Yeah, it does not.
Okay.
It does not. That would be a site built.
Thank you.
Yep. Next slide, you can see we've got an updated map of all the places where the homes are and when they were delivered. Okay, so moving on to owner-occupied rehab options. Partnering for owner-occupied rehab is something we've done in the area for a long time. Several years ago, the Great River Housing Trust Fund partnered with the city with we did several rehabs on a kind of a one-off partnership. We've done community development block grant before, and regional planning and the Housing Trust Fund regularly bring down federal home loan bank, home funds, and anything else that we can find to help rehabilitate homes in southeast Iowa. So as far as city funding, LMI TIF proceeds are a great source for that. And then the outside sources, kind of went through these before, but Federal Home Loan Bank, we're doing, I think, our third big regional grant for them with the trust fund, and of course CDBG and Great River Housing. So earlier during the vacant lot discussion, Greg brought up chapter 657. And so that brings up the thought of acquisition, rehab, and resale options, where if there's a nuisance home, a perpetual nuisance, the city can't acquire that through a district court. It could be rehabilitated and resold. Sometimes the private sector does that. Maybe it's a foreclosure, maybe it's a rental that's kind of transitioning out. There's a lot of options for that. And I would encourage any of our communities here in Southeast Iowa to make use of your nuisance ordinance in Iowa Code through Chapter 657, so that you have tools to address nuisance, dangerous properties. And then there's all those tax sales. Tax sales are kind of a interesting setup where it's designed to keep funds flowing to the government, tax payments flowing to the government. But then, sometimes the aftermath of that, really the worst expression of it is disinterested out-of-town owners that have this tax certificate, and they really have zero liability besides what they paid for it. And so the rest of us are left to pick up the pieces if it starts to go back to nature. So looking at tax sales, if you do have a nuisance property, you can also acquire, I think you can have like a priority bid. A government can have a priority bid for a tax sale through Iowa Code if it is a documented nuisance. So that's also an option. I think Fort Madison has kind of piloted that for the last couple of years. And then moving on to down payment options. Again, looking at the LMI TIF funds, you could create a down payment assistance fund for income qualified residents to use. The way the Great River Housing Trust Fund does this is through a deferred loan with a small closing fee. And so basically the way it works is income qualified or whatever qualified person you set, they would apply, they get the money at closing. They could apply it for principal or to closing costs. And then it's recorded as a subordinate lien. And so it just kind of sits there with no interest, which makes the accounting a lot easier. And then whenever they sell the house or need the lien to be released, like if they take out a home equity loan, then it would be paid back into the fund at that time. The deferred loan works pretty well. The only weakness, I would say, is that sometimes people just forget it's there because they're not making a payment. So then if they sell the house, you do the title and lien search, the closing statement, they're like, hey, what's this $7,500? So sometimes that happens, but then they've also had the benefit for a long time of that kind of zero interest money. And so I describe a couple of these, how Great River Housing Trust Fund does it. There are products from the Iowa Finance Authority that people can access through their lender, and they can do that actually today. And so there's a down payment closing cost assistance, or you can get a second loan up to 5% of the home price. So if any of you know people that are buying homes and looking for something, Iowa Finance Authority does have a couple options. They're not really potent, but you never know when a little bit can help. So those are the thoughts for tonight. Be happy to answer any questions or talk about any part of the presentation a little bit more, but overall, appreciate being here and thank you very much.
Mike, you've got multiple options for homes. When we were talking a little bit there, I guess the incentive that would be required to go with it, but you had a smaller option. What was there, 3 different options?
For Homes for Iowa?
Right.
Yeah, so we have basically 2 different boxes, I'll say. One box is 1,000 square feet. That's a two bed, one bath on the main. And that's in a narrow configuration where the entry door is on the gable and the narrow end. And then we also have a 1,200 square foot box, and so we can configure that either what we call a wide, where the entry door is on the long side of the house, or in the narrow configuration. And then we have different roof lines, siding options, and then we also have the prototypical 1,200 square foot box would be a 3-bed, 2-bath with laundry on the main. We also have a 2-bed, 2-bath option on that same 1,200 square foot footprint that makes the living area just a little bit larger. And that also has the laundry on the main floor. So it is possible to age in place in the house. The entry, that's always a consideration how you enter the house. And all these are placed on a crawl space or a foundation. We can't put these on slabs.
You said a crawl space or a basement, and they can't be put on slabs?
Correct, yep. And that's just because of the, the house is built on a floor truss system, and we can't set that on the concrete. So just to give you an idea about how they're delivered, maybe some of you remember the one that was delivered onto West Burlington Avenue. It's a pretty serious moving permit we have to get from the DOT. It takes up the whole road. But recently, 2 homes have also been craned, one in Spencer and one outside of Columbus City. And so the craning, depending on how far away the crane company is, looks like that's $7,000 to $9,000. So for a tight lot where we couldn't get our whole moving rig in, we could get it close enough, and then the buyer could utilize a crane to place the house.
Mike, I want to have 2 conversations, and I'm going to kind of knock one of these out first, which is the rehab options. It's my personal opinion in West Burlington right now, the private sector can and will handle that. There's a very high demand for West Burlington homes to buy and flip and redo. And matter of fact, good luck if you want to do that today, get in line. So the 2 conversations I want to have is one on increasing housing stock, and then on the down payment assistance program. Mm-hmm. So on the Homes for Iowa program, if we said, hey, we want to start doing one of these a year on an infill lot, is that something that is sustainable for Homes for Iowa? Or is that something like, we put you on a list and you might get a home 5 years from now?
No, we have capacity to build about 50 homes a year. And we have not yet hit that capacity. This year, I think we'll hit 39. And so typically it takes us about 6 months from the first nail to until delivery.
So if we said, and since we have it laid out here, let's use that Mount Pleasant one as an option. If we said today, we all just voted, we want to put a Homes for Iowa home on that, what would our time frame look like? And then what else would you need from us?
So I think the first thing to think through is what development structure would you like to employ? Would the city self-develop it? Would you procure a general contractor to do that on your behalf? So that may be one of the first things to consider is what the structure is. We have a pre-order process where we go down through some basic questions, lot ownership, is it movable? So our moving crew inspects every lot before we actually take an order. Because honestly, the worst case scenario for the buyer and for us is that we built a house that we can't move.
Sure.
So we try to take care of that early on. And then finally it's the order. What's the home configuration? Are there any kind of special situations we should know about? And so the time from first nail to delivery is pretty constant. The only variable would be when we could actually start the home. This time of year, a great time of year to start homes because a lot of people don't like to get a delivery in the wintertime. We've developed homes in the wintertime. There's a lot of fear about keeping basements open. It is possible. It's a little risky. And so usually this time of year is a great time of year to start.
So what's that time frame first nail to delivery is?
About 6 months.
6 months. And if we went with a local contractor, they're going to need to come in, make the site ready, pour whatever, either the crawl space or the basement. In the ones you're doing economically from the city standpoint, let's say we already own the lot in this case, we would be paying the contractor that amount, and would we then pay Homes for Iowa for the home, and then we sell the house and get some of that back? Is that the way the program works?
Yep, so you're just paying Homes for Iowa for the house. And so for a 3-bedroom in 2026, it's $108,000.
You say 108?
108.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we'll have, I don't know, I'm guessing.
I mean, a good rule, you guys have some advantages because you already own the lot, the infrastructure is already close. So usually a good rule of thumb is to take the house price and double it, and that gets you kind of a basic layout without a garage. You may subtract that back a little bit since you have some of the advantages of owning the lot and the infrastructure. So, do you do a garage? Do you finish part of the basement? Those are some of the questions you may want to think through.
And then your cities go out and sell that, and do they have to meet the LMI?
If you use your LMI TIF money, it would be an LMI.
Okay.
LMI house. Homes for Iowa has an income limit, but it's pretty generous as opposed to LMI.
Okay.
So our income limit is $125,000 taxable. So that brings you up to around maybe 150 gross or something like that.
Does Housing Trust Fund act as a contractor if we go through the public process rather than a private contractor?
So
or have you?
So the way that we've got the housing set up is that the trust fund is more the financing entity, and then Housing Inc. is more the development entity. So we have another nonprofit that we manage in-house that just develops homes.
Okay, and that's how the previous one was done.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, let me switch over to the down payment assistance. This came up, I know we talked about it several months ago. In Mediapolis is doing something similar to this. To me, this is a tool we can use to combat high rental ownership in our town, to give first-time home buyers and families buying their first property a chance to get here and live here, and it would be self-sustaining. paying it back when they sell the property. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. To me, that's frankly a no-brainer. I don't know why we don't do it. And I use the IFA funds constantly for first-time home buyers, you know, I mean, that's a.
So you use the first home and some of those?
Absolutely. I mean, that's probably an every other week thing that I'm doing. So, on the real estate side. So I see the difference that makes in somebody that maybe has the credit rating to purchase but doesn't have the money for the down payment at the current rental prices they're paying and so forth.
Right.
By the time they actually get in a home, it can be cheaper for them than renting, especially with that assistance. So to me, I'm very much in favor of doing this. Now, this is, the Mediapolis version is oversaw by some entity you're involved in, is that correct?
That's us, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Would that be something you'd recommend for us too, that it's our program and funds but managed?
You know, I think we could definitely do it. We have a lot of experience. It's an economy of scale thing. So I would say we could definitely give you a proposal for that.
Okay. What would be the benefit of going through you folks instead of doing it in-house?
I think the first part, if you use the LMI TIF, you would do a income qualification. And so, and if you guys want to do it in-house, I have zero issues with that. But it's, you know, I think the questions to ask are, you know, does staff have time? Is that,
they've already got a process in place.
Is it worthwhile for them to do? Is it?
I'm not asking for me. I don't want to do it in-house, but I deal with this stuff all the time. So I'm more like spreading information down the table.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and it has an individual board that's not city council, right? I'm referring to the Mediapolis version of this.
So the way there's, well, we'll just go, just way back a little bit. So at one time, they were a certified local housing trust fund. And so we kind of helped them get that up and going. Then the state said, no more kind of really small standalone. So then what that meant was then they couldn't apply for grants from the State Housing Trust Fund anymore. But they're still, but they still have a fund within the city to use for affordable housing. And so they have an advisory board that advises on policy. And then they give us like certain guidelines on, okay, if we get a rehab, we want to approve those. If it's a down payment, do it this way, that kind of a thing. So there's a couple options, like if you wanted to set it up within the housing trust fund, we would create a separate account and kind of a carve out for that. Then the way that we do it with the housing trust fund is that based on, okay, whatever the city would want for, you know, intake period, is it just like anytime there's money, you know, how would you want to average? We'd have to talk about some of those guidelines or those boundaries. And then we basically just let the board know when we have an eligible one. It's more of a heads up, and then we just handle those administratively. And that's more of a first come, first served process, because there's always more demand for the down payment than we have resources for.
That was all my questions.
I guess quick follow-up. Down payment versus housing stock. We don't have the housing stock. Do you, with the down payment program in place, do you think that's going to free up rental properties? I mean, I'm trying to figure out, I think we should have both programs in place, but I'm just not sure we have the stock to
We've all seen what happens now is somebody ages out of their home.
Right.
And that home is typically right now, or at least half the time, scooped up and becomes a rental property, which I greatly appreciate the rentals we have. I think a lot of our rental owners really take care of those properties, but we've seen that as the majority of the homes in town become rentals, we perhaps start to lose part of the community that we've built. So to me, this is just one way for a family that wants to get started in town, that when a home comes up, they have the ability and some help to help them compete with the rental buyer to be able to get in the home affordably.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
well, appreciate the time, and
There'll be more of this will come out during the process with Iowa State as well. But we could take a look at your model with NEPO now, sooner rather than later, to give us a head start.
yeah, just let me know what you'd like to see, and we can put something together. All right, well, thanks, everybody.
Well, I just,
Thank you.
one last question.
Oh, sure.
On the bedrooms, when you have a 3-bedroom, what are the size are the bedrooms? Because when I look at these and you're putting it in a 1,200 square foot, that's like, how big are the bedrooms? Like 6 by 8 or?
Oh, they're bigger than that.
Because that'd look like a cell to me, but.
You know, I've been in the one not too long ago on West Burlington Avenue, so this was 5 years after it went in too, and it's held up. They've added the garage there on the back, and so quality-wise, I think you're right. Medium quality, it's not a high-end quartz countertop, but it's held up well. And I would say that being my only experience, bedrooms were good size,
Oh, good.
larger than most of our housing stock, really.
And you've got a basement that you can finish
Yeah.
as well.
If anybody would like to look at the home plans, we've got all the home plans on our website, and that is homesforia.com. FOR, homesforia.com. So all of our home plans are up there. We've got some pictures of, houses out in the wild and what they look like. We had a intern this summer that did some great research for us, and over the last 12 months, the median sales price of the homes that we could track, I think we hit like 90% of the homes. Some were hard to track, like a Habitat home, for example, because they have a different kind of direct lending. But the median sales price is like $257. So some higher, some lower, but Vinton, Iowa, they're one of our large order communities. They're doing just a whole bunch of workforce housing up
You
there.
said Vinton or Newton?
Vinton.
Vinton.
Yeah.
It seems to also bring up the pricing of all the homes around it. When you take a brand-new home and plop it down in the middle of a bunch of 1940s homes, it definitely does not hurt the community. It seems to really raise the overall look of the area.
Yeah, you might look at that as a value anchor. And that might help some other activity be done in the area once you have, a couple appraisal comps there. Or even just increasing the confidence of a newly developed home.
I agree with Andy for the first-time home buyers with some assistance, because in my little cul-de-sac, we've got 12 homes and 6 of them are rentals. It's like, and some of the neighbors, I'd love to rent them out to someone else, but the young couple, they don't have a chance to buy a first starter home like we used to do way back. I mean, all those starter homes are being bought up by realtors, and they're setting themselves up for their retirement.
I think you also get in, it's who you know and timing too, it's involved in it, on who's buying that home for rental.
All right, well, thanks again, and
Coming, Mike.
I'm sure we'll be talking more about housing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go to item number 5. Consider a resolution adding Lindsay McKinney to the fire department.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
She'd be here tonight, but she's at the EMT class, so she's taking her EMT on her own right now, so.
Well, then I'll call for a roll call vote.
Lees,
Aye.
Young,
Aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Motion carries. Go to number 6, consider resolution appointing members to the Southeast Iowa Airport Zoning Commission and Southeast Iowa Airport Board of Adjustment.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
And those appointments are,
Kelly and Hans, right?
Hans, right? Yeah.
just,
How many years have they each been on it already?
well, Hans has been on it for quite a while.
Kelly's just going on.
Kelly's the newbie.
Awesome.
Roll call, please.
Young,
Aye.
Covert,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7, consider state annual financial report for fiscal year 24-25.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries on that. Item number 8, our last item. Consider state annual urban renewal report for fiscal year 24-25.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion on this item?
Angie, anything you'd want to draw our attention to?
No, it's just the tip that we paid out, 24, 25.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Last item is considering options on old business related to the Long Meadow water main replacement project. Do I have a motion?
We had, sorry, looking for a motion, sorry, go ahead.
Then I'll go to discussion after that.
Yes, motion to review.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Greg?
It's the same stuff.
Council had asked to have a little time to go take a look at the site. Chase, do you have anything new to add, I guess, on the project itself?
No, just kind of a direction, if we want to do the entire alleyway there with the water main or stop at the end of the alley.
Do you have a recommendation, what you guys like to see?
I mean, it makes sense to go all the way to Van Wees since while you're there. But what's budgeted is to the end of the alley right now, so.
So you'd say trenchless entire alley?
That'd be ideal, it would make less of a mess, but if you went the whole alley, you could go and do a trench. Trenchless might come back cheaper once you put the bid out too. It depends on who gets the project. So you could put both out there and see.
You could bid alternate on there and see how the prices come in, yeah.
And then you could decide then, so.
I agree. I prefer the whole alley. It just makes sense if you're already there to do it. Because you may have a potential problem if you do a new one, and then you may have a problem where you could have solved it then, or maybe 5 years from now, he's gonna be back doing it again to complete the rest of it.
You plan on getting it done this year yet?
Yeah, yep.
So the open cut is cheaper than the trenchless? Okay.
Well, right, yeah. But that's not to say it's gonna be the opposite once it goes out for bid. Like I said, it depends on who bids on it and what company gets it, so.
So this is just the estimation from Schneider and Wood.
Engineer's
Right.
estimate.
Yep.
They're providing the 4 options, and I apologize, I misunderstood a little bit that I thought this also involved the road surface. And from where I'm reading, this has nothing to do with the road surface. Okay.
We'll have to go through the whole bid process, design and bid process.
I guess what I just want a direction on is if we should go all the way to Van Wees or if we should stop at the end of the alley.
Where it says, where the alley ends today.
Correct,
Yeah.
for the water line.
For the water line,
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
road, and that's where I was a little misunderstood.
What would be the argument for stopping right there? I mean,
That's where, so the reason that was brought up like 3 years ago is because that's where most of our problems is in that little stretch of area. And that's why we originally went for that. But then when we were walking through it a couple weeks ago, we're like, well, this is gonna need replaced down the road anyway. And you could do it when you did Van Wees, because that's old line as well, but if they're there, and if at some point you were gonna put an alley in there, then now would be the time to do it, or leave the alley the way it is. That's why the alley was brought up.
Oh, I don't have a problem going to Van Wees, you might as well, because otherwise it's a dead end
But-
and then if you just stop at the end of the alley where it's at, isn't that like, because I was always informed like you have to have a loop to keep the water circulating.
Now, there's a water line that goes all the way to Van Wees right now,
Okay.
and it's an old water line, ductile line.
It just wasn't budgeted to go all the
Yeah,
way.
it just originally wasn't budgeted to go all the way to Van Wees.
Oh, so there's a water line there. it's
There's a
just-
water line there, and it's the same age as the one that's
Then
getting
let's fix it.
replaced. Yep.
Didn't understand that. To me, we should fix the whole thing if it's there and get it done.
Get her done.
Sounds like we have at least 3 votes here for moving it forward.
Do the whole thing
The
and
whole
fix
thing,
it.
yeah.
Don't just put 3 new tires on, put 4 on the car. That's how I see this one.
Because you get a fourth one free.
That's what I heard too. It just feels weird for driving that car. That's how I'm looking at it.
Well, I guess we don't really have a vote that we have to have on this.
We'll move forward. It sounds like there's a consensus to move forward with that, and we'll get that design work going.
Well, with that, we've come to the end of our business. And no citizen inquiries?
Your Honor, not a citizen inquiry, but one item I forgot to bring up earlier. Trailhead Park. We had some discussion, I believe it was at the last meeting or the one before. Councilman Johnson had brought up the pipe work and to get that started. Chase has a price on that, so I guess whether or not we want to get that pipe put in, at least get it covered. And then I have an engineer that's putting together a quote for the parking and for the grading. And then during the budget process, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Trailhead Park as well. But I don't know that we had a consensus on us moving forward with go ahead and putting the pipe in and rock associated with that, and then and put a layer of dirt over it, which came to
Around 4,500 for a pipe, rock, and dirt for us to do it.
The pipe just for drainage?
Yep, so you can fill in the ditch, yep.
and then you bring the pipe up along with you as it was graded, assuming we went with the plan as proposed. There's various levels, and it would be brought up to a degree, but not all the way, because the detention pond was kept. It just had layers in there, various types of vegetation, native plantings. So there was, I guess the question was if we could get started on it. That's the cost, but we don't really, I didn't feel like we had a consensus on if we should move forward. So I don't need council approval on the expenditure. I just, if there was a consensus to move forward, fine. If you'd rather wait, put it in the budget, I mean, I just need a little direction.
I'm in supporting moving forward on getting that done this fall yet, as time allows.
Let's get it done.
Yeah, agreed.
I have one question.
Yes.
You don't think there's any chance we come back later and go, oh, I wish we would have done this a different way?
As far as filling it in, or?
Yeah.
We're just putting a culvert, attaching the 2 culverts together, and then filling around rock, and then,
There's not that much water that goes through that section, and it feeds into the detention pond. The plan allows for a significant amount of rainfall to be captured in the future on that site. And then that will also have drainage into that, like a beehive or something on top of there that would allow it to feed into there and/or drain into the ground. But that would come down the road. So
no matter what, we end up maybe filling some of the rest of it, or?
you'd practically have the same thing that's there now, except for it's gonna be higher. You wouldn't really be changing any of the drainage.
Okay.
It'd just be less of a hole, less of a dip.
Easier to mow, easier to.
It's not gonna
maintain.
take that
It's
much
not so
water.
deep.
Yeah.
It's deep.
if you look in there now, there's not that much water going through there.
Okay.
Sounds like we have an agreement for, move forward with that.
Appreciate it.
Two more questions. One, any update on the Mall Ring Road? We approved the contract a meeting or two ago.
It's going through the whole contract process. The next piece will be to set up a pre-construction meeting, and hopefully they will move forward yet this year.
They
we have to get
implied at the bid, when we awarded the bid, it was implied that they were interested in getting going
Yes, it
this fall,
was.
so.
But we have to go through they're doing all the paperwork, signing all the paperwork, and the
Okay.
pre-con will be set up. And once the pre-con meeting is held, they can start construction based on the contract terms. We will encourage them to.
So far, no
to
pre-contract
start.
mee's been set.
Meeting date has not been set for the pre-con.
No, I signed the contract on Monday, and I think Katie sent that out that day, so.
Okay.
We're-
It's just,
Get
so
that
far
started.
not, so every day goes
Right.
by, likely not gonna get to, that's what I'm asking. And finally, election, can we talk about, anything do we know about this election we had yesterday and the results?
Yeah, I contacted the auditor earlier. She said she'd let me know. I have not received anything. I can tell you if I have.
Okay, oh, so officially, you did check, and we, glad Tony, you're here, glad you're here, Kathy. Planning on you being here, all right, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Support.
Motion and support, all in favor signify by saying aye.